Hi. I was gonna wait for a time to make this video when I can be surrounded by my nice background and be, at home and chilled out. But I'm happy and I want to make it. I want to make it now. Hopefully this camera won't be wobbling too much. It's sitting on my keyboard on my desk. So I wanted to make a video because I am the most joyful and peaceful that I've been in my life, and I in the last few weeks I've been watching this weirdly synchronous to the time that I'm experiencing love, this and the way I'm experiencing love, this synchronistically this swirl of conversation around Aubrey Marcus's podcast. And generally speaking, what I kind of do is when there are those swirls of conversation, is kind of go, oh, why do we care about that, and step aside. And it just seems too synchronous that this is all happening around the time that I'm experiencing some really happy content times in my life. So I just kind of wanted to share what I usually do. I think of when there's conflicts going around, I think of myself as the sunflower that turns towards the sun, and I love to say, what are we moving towards? Not kind of. I find less benefit to myself in focusing too much on what we are against, because I don't think that works. In our body, when we try to auto-correct our structure and our posture, we will inevitably return, because a fighting against can only be maintained for so long. But when you mentally visualize, like in Feldenkrais and other somatic practices, your body in the correct state, and that's what you are in, instead of a fighting against, what are you fighting for? That's always how I've overcome addiction as well. It's what are you turning towards? And I felt similarly in this, and the love and the joy that I wanted to share surrounding it, surrounding my life. It's been interesting watching the response that I've seen around it, because it reminds me a lot of the reaction that I got when I came out as bi. And I'm looking at my notes while I'm talking, so when I'm deviating eye contact, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of the reaction I got when I came out as bi. I heard recently that people fear queerness and polyamory a lot sometimes because they fear that it is catching. And what I feel about that is, if you cannot, I believe that if you cannot allow someone else to exist in their fullest choice and their most authentic truth, without, if you just cannot allow that to be, and it feels like a danger for someone else to be able to allow to make an autonomous choice, then I think we're not well. I think there's something to be examined there. And even though most people in those circles that I know of wouldn't blame someone for being same-sex attracted, it's a very similar response. You know, if you know your truth inside your body, you can feel it, that's wonderful. That is just a breath of fresh air, no matter what it is, I think. When someone knows what they want and what's right for them, it just feels so safe to me and so like life-giving, whether that's monogamy or the way that they want to be in relationship to someone, what they, the way they prefer to share love, and family and friendship and everything. It made me think about, though, someone's decision to be in an expansive lifestyle, with the analogy of, like, say your partner decided to quit their full-time job that you felt was very important to the sustainability of your family and had a lot of passion behind it, and then decided to, you know, make music in their basement, and that was their path, and your life started to crumble because of it. You know, certain people make choices to be lower income starving artists, and that's what fills them with joy. Your reaction to that might be, supposing that that wasn't what you wanted, might be one of misalignment, might be one of like incompatibility, but not a sin. You know, that's seen very much as an incompatibility. So I felt like that was something to think about. That's something to think about, I think, for sure. But aside from all that, because I don't want to be anything that's coming up in anyone is important and valid and like needs to be heard. But so aside from all that, I wanted to share my story that has been so synchronous with all this. So currently in my life, I am experiencing love with a man that is the most safe and expansive and beautiful and feeling of home that I've ever felt. And I just can't help but smile when I'm talking about it, because they have gifted me with so much like trauma healing relationship and togetherness, and it's just like nothing. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again in some ways, just the safety and expansion and witnessing. And this love of mine is also dating a beautiful woman who adds so much to their life and is just this, from all accounts, I haven't met her in person, I met her online, is this bubbly, joyful, thoughtful, like tender homemaker who just adds this, makes my blood so happy, right? And that makes me smile because I've known this person for so long, and then to see them be met in this like beautiful romance and beautiful love that's so tender and attuned and conscious, and they both just choose each other and each other's mess, and then that person that he's dating is married to another woman who have this just I just can't stop grinning because just seeing these people, but has this committed, loving, relationship with this other woman where they are raising children together, and they're making this home that is full of love and acceptance and coziness and higa, and I know it's very healing for the love that I'm speaking of to be there, because there's this aura of protection and of child raising in a way that we never got to experience. That is this way that love ought to be. And just hearing of their porch chats and their family dinners, and I've never been more happy. And sitting in all of this love, in addition to getting to be in the life of the baby of the person I was dating recently for many, many years, getting to be in the life of their baby and our community, getting to belong to not only their baby and their mom, and but also the friends that I share with them, both of them. We have this community of people that are coming together to support each other, not just the romantic loves, but the friends who hold each other in everything that we're going through. You know, calls late at night, and all a part of each other's lives. You know, all partners and all friends and exes, even though I don't like to use the word ex. But someone that, you know, I was romantically involved with, that I'm now friends with. There's this friendship shared by all of us. And I grew up in a home with many, many siblings, and this many loves is very, of partners and friends, is very normal to my nervous system. And yeah, I've never been happier. And to sit in that and to understand what it means and what I'm learning from each person and what these people are learning from each other, is interesting to find in the wake of this swirling narrative, or I've heard of this narrative in the wake of that, the closing and the close knitting of these experiences. So I just felt the need and the desire to share my part of that, with that just joy and sunshine. And I want to say I deeply respected Aubrey and their partners' the honesty and openness. That has been something that, like, just authenticity. It must be so nerve-wracking to, especially when you are feeling complex things, to just be honest, to allow us to have a window into someone else's experience that is being shown as all that it is. And I really respected the wife and Aubrey, all of them, for really showing what they're experiencing, because this is such a gift. Like, we need each other, we need to hear each other's experiences to understand ourselves. And the community I grew up in was shrouded in a lot of secrets and a lot of tuck it under the rug, you know. And so I really honor them for sharing their authenticity, because at the end of the day, that's all we can do. And then we can discover and be curious. One final thing that I did have to say in that's my own thing that I notice, and this might not be for everyone, but I've noticed from my own experience with loving many loves, and the different dynamics that it created and in others, is I have to ask the question of, are we framing it the way we're framing it? Are people responding the way they're responding? Would they be responding in the same way if the story was about his wife loving another woman outside of their connection and him supporting them? Would the reaction be framed in the same way if it was about Vi, I want to say? I apologize, I don't remember their names exactly. Viana? The wife, if it was about her exploring connection with the girlfriend outside of her connection with Marcus. And would that reaction be the same? And I have to tell you, what I've noticed in my life is nobody really felt that any concern or worry for me when I was dating two women. And they didn't seem to feel much worry for me when I was dating two men, or more. However, as soon as I entered a relationship where there was a man who was dating their wife and me, people began to have this feeling in the sense that the wife and I were victims. And the reason that I bring this up is because, again, exactly the different dynamics that I've been in, that has never been a question. And I ask this only because I have been all of them. I have been the committed partner that was there, I've been the wife where my partner's bringing someone else in and this kind of way, and I've been the partner who is being brought in as like third, and the complications in that energy. And I've been the person who fell in love with two people, all of which are very unique spaces to be and unique challenges to understand what's the right thing to do, how to navigate those things. And with the discomfort of each of those things, I just have to ask that question, because I've seen too many things that have led me, based on my own experiences, to believe that we are still in a space collectively where we identify women, or people that we perceive to be women, as the victims and incapable of autonomous choice. And I'm not saying that to negate anything you're feeling. Things that are coming up in you, are for your own digestion and information, and really important. And I want to say that I've seen so much of us taking away women's autonomy and the possibility that a woman would choose or could possibly choose something different. That a woman's suffering is never okay, where a man's is. And being trans, identifying as trans for I guess 7 years now, or maybe about 6, and meeting many people that did, I think has caused me to have a very close examining of these things and the gendered ways that we view things and the ways that different sexes uniquely suffer based on these. But I personally want us all to be able to evolve to a place where, there can be something different. I want to make sure that I get to the points that I had. Yeah, I think the last thing that I had written was, they may be struggling, and why are we casting their honesty about their relationship and decision to explore as poison? The way people are reacting to this casts women as not as equal collaborators in a complex situation with autonomy of choice, but as necessarily as victims, and so energetically beneath the man in their lives that they could not be possible of autonomous choice. Cast yourself as Aubrey or the other woman instead, and see what it makes you feel inside. If you had been in this situation. I've been in all three. It seems she chose to enter an erotic connection, and when fear came up, it became unclear what to do. I've been that person, I've been the third, I've also been the hinge, all working hard to help others feel safe and happy. In my most recent connection, my partner's wife began to feel unsafe within our connection, and our choice was to separate in order to help the happiness and joy of that relationship. Always complicated. And one thing that the guru said was right. You can't go back. You can only go through. And that's all I'll say. Because I don't know everyone's experience. It would be a little silly to think that I could. Me and my love are so happy. Our happy may not look like yours. We're deep friends. We're not getting a white picket fence, and they have another beautiful love, who has another beautiful love with so many smiles and so much love to go around. I get to be in my ex-partner's life with and around their baby and their mom and our many, many friends who know and love both them and my love, and support all of us in this vibrant community building journey that we're on. This can be, that's what I wanted to put forth this video, is just as a sharing that this can be a joyful, there can be this joyful and happy exploration and expansion, just to share. And I encourage you to be very curious about your own internal state and what your body is telling you, and I'm curious about a place that we could get to where we are curious and don't feel that someone else's joy diminishes our own. What it would feel like to get to a place where we didn't feel we had to limit others' freedoms in order to have our own. And thank you for sharing in my joy and my happiness and my contentment. Just to offer another perspective. I love you.